Good morning, CLC. Thank you for hanging in there with our technical difficulties this morning. I think we figured something out. So hopefully you are here, you are hearing us, and you are enjoying the music from Mel and Jeffrey. Thank you very much, guys, for doing that. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there and to all the uncles and stepdads and cousins and brothers and single moms that love on kids with that father energy. Thank you and happy Father's Day to you too. Welcome to CLC. Before we get started, we have a couple of announcements. The big thing that I want everyone to know and hopefully be a part of this Wednesday on June 23rd at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook Live, we will be having our next soul session that is sponsored by our Be the Change Committee. And that soul session is going to feature not only our Reverend Jesse Jennings, but also Thomas and Daniel. Thomas and Daniel are an amazing gay couple that have been together for 46 years. They talk about not only being members in the CSL community and living through religious science and science of mind philosophies, principles, and teachings, but also how being a gay couple has grown and evolved and expanded over the course of their relationship in their lifetime. So it should be a wonderful conversation. I hope you guys are there and can join us for that. We would love to see you be a part of that. And with that, of course, we also have a number of book studies going on. We have a number of online support groups happening. We have a number of classes going on. So please, if you have not already done so, check your email. Lots of information is included in that email. Anything that you would like to sign up for, there's a hot link in there that you can click on. And with that, it'll take you directly to sign up for whatever course or book study or whatever it is that you're interested in. And if you have not signed up for email, we will have in the chat in just a little bit a link to Constant Contact so you can sign up. If you have already done so and don't see your email, please remember to check your junk or spam folders. Also remember, in addition to Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. Our lovely Reverend Lisa Ryan works very hard to make sure to keep all of those updated and to make sure all videos and information is available on all of our sites. So definitely like, share, follow, anything and everything that you see from Creative Life that moves you. And with that, now we come to giving time. I want to thank each and every one of you for everything that you give to this center. No matter how big or how small it is something that we appreciate. There's gratitude involved, and there's love involved. And so with that, we want to thank you for that. And I ask you to join me in saying, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is. And now, in this moment, I invite you to take a few deep breaths, relaxing your body, relaxing your mind. Just put aside anything going on just for now, just for now. Allow yourself to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin the inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by stating aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging the higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the infinite presence, I simply speak these words, I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive. I choose. I now enter an idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. In visualizing the idea as already acted upon and brought to pass, in seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. And now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
I'm Jesse Jennings. You've met Danielle Markadale. Later you'll meet, I say meet, if you watch every Sunday, you know these people. We've been here 16 months doing this. Looked at another way, we've been here 35 and a half years doing this. How about it? We're all islands in the same sea. And I want to thank you, by the way, for waiting around for us. We had technical issues. We believe we have solved them, not just for this morning. Let's roll the dice here. We have solved them permanently and forever. So that from now on, at the absolute stroke of 11 o'clock Central Time on Sundays, you will be able to see Creative Life Spiritual Center in action. Can't thank our tech team enough for what they do and have done all these many months. Next week, Reverend David Dewhurst is going to speak. The week after that, we'll have a special surprise rerun for you. The week after that, we'll have a congregation in the room. That will be Sunday, July the 11th. More on that as we go along. But what I wanted to share with you today is that we are all islands in the same sea, which is Islands in the Stream is a song, but we're islands, also a Hemingway, isn't it? We're islands in the same sea is a line from Madeleine L'Engle's book, Walking on Water, Reflections on Faith and Art, which some of you have ordered and are reading because you've told me and you said you like it, you enjoy it. And that's nice, that's gratifying. But I wish you a happy Juneteenth weekend. I wish you a happy Father's Day weekend. I wish you a happy summer solstice that's occurring right now. And I wish you a happy Pride Month. And I wish you a happy graduation, which we hadn't really gotten into. And in this part of the world, it's a little past graduation time. That was around the end of May. But I want to tell you a story that you may have heard, you may have seen in your news feed. But if you haven't, if one person out there has not heard this story, I need to tell it to you. This is a story about a woman named Jennifer Rocha. Jennifer Rocha. Her parents are Mexican migrant workers who came to America to pick vegetables. Her father wanted to be a doctor. Both her parents wanted to go to college, and it didn't work out. So they worked in the fields in California. And when Jennifer and her sister were in high school, her parents said, let's have the girls come work with us in the field so they can see what it's like and they can see why they want to have an education so that something better awaits them. And they brought them out and they picked bell peppers off the bushes. And overnight they picked strawberries. And sometimes Jennifer was getting like 3 and 4 hours of sleep a night because of school and extracurricular activities that she was doing to get herself into college and helping her parents do this work. And it was a great help to the parents, but again, their main motivation was so that the girls would see that this was not what they wanted to do for the rest of their lives. Jennifer went off to college. She graduated last week from the University of California at San Diego. And it was time to have her graduation pictures taken in full academic regalia. And instead of having the pictures taken on the school quad or in front of the library or any of the places that she associated with college, she went to the fields where her parents work to this day. And she stood with them amongst the rows of bell pepper bushes in her gown and said, but for them, I would not be here. And I honor them and I honor the ancestors who have worked in this way. I challenge anybody to read. There's more to the story. Those are the, salient points. I challenge anybody to read this and not have tears come to your eyes. Okay. What a way. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. When I first, heard that in the context of the 10 Commandments, it was like obey and submit. And, they're going to tell you what to do and they're going to move you around because you're a little kid and that's how it should be. There's so much more to it than that. It's like recognize the sacrifices that people have made, the choices that people have made so that you can be who you are today. And when you do that, you're not only doing something good for them and for yourself, you're doing something for the collective global karma, which I'm real big on now. Collective global karma. CGK. CGK. I'll just abbreviate it for a while. We're building our destiny as a world. We're building our destiny by having a new holiday, the first one since 1983, that commemorates the announcement to slaves of their freedom that occurred almost 2 years, I think it was just shy of 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. The announcement was made to the slaves of Texas. There were 250,000 slaves about in Texas at that time, made by General Granger in Galveston at the corner of 22nd and Church, I think, where there's a plaque now. It was announced to the slaves, something not a lot of people are cognizant of because we're still learning a lot about the day and about the holiday. We may know more about it here in Texas because it began in Galveston. And since 1938, it's been recognized by the state leadership in Texas. But one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that when they say, well, the Emancipation Proclamation, it took it 2 years to get to Texas because Texas was like this remote outpost. No. It had been announced in 100 newspapers when it was signed in 1863. But those newspapers weren't in the hands of the slaves. And so we celebrate today freedom. But as you're reading, if you're reading about Juneteenth and the celebrations and the people in other states who are not quite as clear as what it means and so on, everybody is rushing to say, and I agree with them, it's not a celebration as much as it is a launching into a new way of being, to a new way of being together. Father's Day is a celebration of fatherhood. But you know, there are trigger warnings that go out from various websites and email lists where they send you quotes and things. They'll say, well, it's Father's Day coming up, and if this is disturbing to you, that you don't want to read this stuff, you let us know, and we won't send it. Because there's been a way of doing fathering in the world, part of which has been really dysfunctional, has not worked. There's a new way of conscious fathering in the world. There's a new way of conscious parenting. There's a new way of everything coming about in the world. And I'm excited to be here to see it. I'm excited that the organization that I represent, that this place represents, is here to see it and has advocated for this for a very long time about consciously being in the world. And it's Pride Month. And you heard Danielle speak about Thomas and Daniel going to be here on virtually with us on Wednesday night for a conversation. You know how you heal discord? You know how you come to realize that we are all, in fact, islands in the same sea? You swim up to some of those other islands. You get to meet them and you hang out with them in proximity. And this is the thing, is you realize, wow, people are different, and yet they're the same. And it's nuanced, and it's subtle, and it's a paradox. And you know what? Our minds are big enough to contain it. We can hold it. We can do this. It doesn't all have to be this real simple either or kind of stuff. This overly simplistic thing about some people are right, some people are wrong, some people are smart, some people are dumb, some people are this, that. You know, we sort people into little categories as we go along, and we get smaller and lonelier as we go, as we do this. There's a recognition that we're all one. Ernest Holmes goes into this constantly about how we're all one. I selected for your listening pleasure the specials today. We have selected for you. There is no individual good, says Ernest Holmes. Good belongs to everyone. Good fulfills itself only as it multiplies itself. Therefore, there is no good that belongs to you and to me alone. No final peace to us only as individuals. Wow, that sounds like communism or something, doesn't it? But wait, The watchword is not exclusion, but inclusion. And the more good we release, the more good we experience. Nothing belongs to you and me alone. In fact, when you get right down to it, and I riffed on this in a series of talks sometime years ago, I remember, because talking about how you really don't own anything, even the clothes on your back, you know, stuff travels alongside of you. Even when we have like written title to things like cars and houses and stuff, it's really not, you don't own it so much as you co-occupy it. It flies alongside of you, okay? You're gonna outlive your clothes. You're gonna go through a lot of clothes before you're done here, right? So when they fall off, they become what, dust rags or something, or, you know, you recycle them or you pass them along. In fact, there's an issue with that on the planet now because there's way more clothes than anybody needs. There are bales and piles and mountains of them that we ship off to other countries and forget about. But, you know, we say, well, that's mine and that's mine and that's mine. And even the house that you live in, you know, it's kind of having a life of its own. And it probably preceded you here unless you built it yourself. And it will probably outlive you here unless, you know, you get the point. Things travel alongside of us and they each have their own like shelf life or half-life, atomic half-life, you know, they come and go. You get a new this every now and then, you replace stuff every now and then. So where is ownership really? It's really more stewardship, it's really more use. There's a Native American understanding of this, it's very deep. We don't own the land. You know, we inherited it from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. We're here now. And anytime you want to demonstrate something through the use of spiritual mind treatment, it's going to involve other people. It's going to involve a process that you step into the middle of, like a stream, like a river that runs by your door. You're going to step into the river. You never step into the same river twice, but you're going to step into that and it's going to carry you in the direction of the people who have similar ideas or who have answers to your questions or who have questions to your answers. And so everything is collaborative, really. Everything is community. So I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, how do I stitch together for a talk Juneteenth, Pride Month, Father's Day, and summer? Oh, and yeah, graduation. I thought, well, there's always a common denominator. It's oversimplified if you're going to do that. But what I came up with was family. What I came up with was family. And the nuances of family and the difficulties of family, the challenges of family and the beauties of family. We're all these families, we're all these intersecting circles of affinity. We have our blood family, adopted family, marriage family, and family of choice. A place like this considers itself to be a family of choice. Maybe you don't want another family, then it can be to you a community. You know, it can be simply a kind of a stop on the journey, you know, that you pass through. But it's a circle of people who have a certain affinity for a certain way of looking at the world, who choose to live in that story and expand the story and challenge the story and so forth. Okay. You have your blood family. Blood family is probably the most anciently certainly the most anciently recognized form of family on the planet. But you don't always get along with them. Always think the same way as they do. So you need adjunct families. Nobody says leave your birth family, your blood family. Certainly no one here says that. But you need friends. And you know, you come to a certain point in your life and your friends kind of take over where your family left off. And now you've got peers, you know. And then if you have kids, then they start looking at you more or less the way you looked at your parents and the way your parents looked at their parents and so on. And it becomes this endless kind of thing. Well, meanwhile, everybody's out there and they're taking music lessons or they're playing baseball or whatever, and they're engaged in now all of these other circles, and they all overlap. Oddly enough, you'll run into people out in the world in the strangest places who are part of the same affinity circle that you are, you know? I was, just for example, my mother went to a boarding school in Pennsylvania for her high school years.
And a couple of 3 years ago, I'm driving down Woodlands Parkway, and in front of me, there's a car with a decal in the back window of the school that she went to. I thought, how cool is that? And I'd just been thinking about her. My mom's been gone a real long time, but I was just thinking about her, and there it is. And it's like, I'd never seen that. Like, who is this? And I wanted to chase these people. I wanted to, do a citizen's arrest, pull them over and scare the daylights out of them, find out. So did you go to that school? It was a woman's school. Did your daughter go to that school? Tell us the story and so on, right? You've had this happen to you. You run into people like, oh, so-and-so, or you're from such and such place, or wow, how is that? One mind kind of brings us all together. But we wouldn't know this stuff if we didn't talk about it. If we didn't keep our eyes open. So we connect with one another consciously. We get out of our comfort zones. And we learn about these affinity circles. And a family of choice is a group of people. It's not in concrete. You're not necessarily with the same people doing the same things endlessly and forever. But for a while, you share a common vision, you share a common viewpoint, you hang out with those people and you get some things done. And that's a lot of what family's about, is getting stuff done. And that's a lot of what this spiritual teaching is about, is getting stuff done, It's why we call our practitioners and not theoreticians. We practice, we speak the word, we move things along. We're moving this world along. And what it's going to take is some courage. Not big, lion's mouth kind of courage, just courage to be with people and articulate with people who seem to be different than you are. And I may be preaching to the choir with this, but I may not. Here's an example. Don't take Ernest Holmes' word for it or my word for it or anything, but this proximity business. On Wednesday night, the latest in a series of soul sessions, with many more to come, and many more in the can, so to speak, that you can watch that are on Facebook and YouTube and what have you, where people have either physically sat on this stage, or now we're doing it by Zoom because it's a lot easier, folks out of town, obviously. People have opened themselves up to say, this is who I am. This is my journey. A biracial teen author, a local African-American activist, okay, to name but two. Donald John Lewis, who's really the father of the soul session idea here at Creative Life, and many more to come. Would you have asked the questions if you'd sat next to this person on the bus? If you'd, walked into a restaurant and shared a table with them, would you have asked the questions that were asked? Would you have had that level of depth? Would you have listened? Would they have felt comfortable sharing with you from the depth that they did? That's proximity. This Wednesday night, you got 47 years? 46. We don't want to round up. I've already rounded up with them. I was saying 50. So a couple who's been together for 46 years. First of all, that's remarkable, And then the fact that they're a same-sex couple, and that when they decided to be together, the world did not rise in a standing ovation. Oh, how wonderful. You've met someone and you love them. The way perhaps it did for you when you announced your intention to form a relationship with somebody, and everybody said, God bless. They didn't get a lot of that. And we'll find out from them how much of that they didn't get, and what exactly their journey was. But my point in this is, have you ever sat down with a gay couple and said, so what's it like to be you? That's kind of in your face, isn't it? I mean, most of the time we're like, oh, this person's gay. Well, that's, I'm fine with that and all, but so let's not talk about it. Let's do what we need to do together, transact our business and so on. But to actually bring it into the room as a conversation is a healing thing and an educational thing. And if there's any, I guess where I'm going with this is just to be as blunt as I can. If there's anybody out there who wonders what it's like to be a gay couple, tune in Wednesday night and you can ask them yourself. Or you can ask me to ask. And what you're going to come away with, because I know these guys, we go way back, but even if I didn't, what you're going to come away with is a sense of two absolutely remarkable individuals who are more like you than they're not. If you're a straight person, they're more like you than they not. If you prick them, do they not bleed, you know? And so when this happens, not just in this house, but when this happens collectively, all of a sudden it's like, I have more friends. I have more space. I have more breathing room in this life because now I understand. And here's the thing is you don't have to be like the people that you understand. It's not about let's all of us go be gay or let's all of us go be this, you know, it's certainly not about let's all of us go be of this religion. You don't have to become anybody that you're not, because you're a gift and people want to know how you are and they want to know how you got your way. And even if you never faced massive persecution or oppression in this life, you've taken some lumps and people want to know what to do to become strong like you. And this is how we learn from one another. And as this happens, heaven on earth begins to occur. And I know that's a jump, but it's what we're working toward. It's not where everybody's all the same. It's not where all the stories are put away and there's just one common goal that we're all heading toward kind of mindlessly lemming-like, you know. No, there's still the nuance, there's still the paradox, there's the ultimate paradox of being a spiritual being, having a human experience. It doesn't get more paradoxical than that. You are the experience that Spirit's having of itself by means of you in this world at this time. And at the same time, it's time for lunch. At the same time, it's, you know, there's laundry to do. At the same time, there's mundane, menial kinds of things that we have to do to take care of ourselves and our loved ones to get through this life. Both things are true of us at once. One human family, countless ways of being. A little more Holmes for you. There is one spirit incarnated in everyone, an immortal presence forever expanding everything, causing everything to grow. What a difference it would make in our human relations if we tried to sense the meaning of this divine incarnation in all people and adjust our viewpoint to the truth that all are bound together in the unity of God. What a difference it would make in our human relations. Let's put in the passive voice, you know, what a difference it is making in our human relations. Sometimes we're all sort of thrown together into a situation and we have to work it out and we have to figure out how we're going to have a better world, how we're all going to get along. You know, sometimes it's not seamless. Ram Dass had a famous, he of blessed memory, had an amazing saying. He said, if you think you're enlightened, go spend time with your family. And he didn't mean that. I don't think he meant that in a snarky way. He meant that your family will push every one of your buttons. You try to float in 2 feet off the ground, all above it all, and family will mess with you because they remember how you used to be. They know your shortcomings. They know your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities. Sometimes they prey on these deliberately just to move you around. A lot of times it's with humor, but it's still, you know. So what are we going to do about that? Look where they're pointing. Look within the self. Look and see, what is it about me? You know, in every Pride Month, in every time of pride, there are some misgivings that people have individually. I don't mean just LGBTQ pride. I mean, you know, when everybody tells, be proud of who you are and stand up for who you are, there's a party that says, oh, yeah, but I remember when We have regrets, we have some resentments. And so this is what we have to look at in order to be comfortable inside our own skin. When we're comfortable inside our own skin, we're comfortable with everybody else's skin, how everybody else is. When we love ourselves the way that we are, and still we choose to grow. We love ourselves the way we are, and still we choose to grow. We choose to do our work. We choose to learn. And so as we move through this life, recognizing the oneness in all people, the one life, one last Holmesian line here. If our human relations are to mean the most to us, we must sense that there is hidden within, around, and through each of us a divine presence manifesting itself in infinite variations. The same impulse, the same love and life, but never quite alike in any two persons. Be who you are today. Last bit of advice I have for you, and I work on this all the time with varying degrees of success. Be who you are today, more than you were yesterday, and more centeredly than you will be tomorrow. We're all in process, we're all on a journey, and sometimes, this is the whole deal about mindfulness. Sometimes we're looking down there, one day I'm going to be a this, one day I'm going to be a that. One of our people of Creative Life, I will not name names, just announced to me that they have set an intention to become a minister. Just in the last 48 hours, this has been announced. Isn't that awesome? What I would say to that person, be you right now. Be you right now, because that's what you want to remember. Be conscious of the moment that you made the decision, and then take the next step and stand in the step. Take the next step and stand in the step. And try not to project your attention too often into 5 and 10 years down the road, because you'll miss out on a lot. Stand in the you that you are right now. So for us today, speaking for we in this room, today is the day. It's a beautiful day. It's hot, man. It's hot. We're in South Texas. It's hot. Some places are getting a lot of weather, but right here it's just kind of hot, sticky, but it's Sunday. It's a sacred day for us. It's the day of the sun. It's the sun's birthday. It's the summer solstice. They gathered at Stonehenge and whatnot today, and around volcanoes and things. And, it's a great big deal. It's the longest day of the year. Longest day of the year is a good day to get more done. A good place to get more done is within the self. It's a sacred day. It's a sacred day. Be in the sacredness of it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and treat just briefly. Lisa will have a long and eloquent treatment for you here in a moment. Mine is just to kind of to treat, to finish the talk, and also to get me off the stage, right? So let's know together now there is one life, one power, one presence. That one is at its zenith, at its fullness, the magnificence of this day. And all the healing that has taken place to bring us to this day. All the dialogue, all the forgiveness. We're grateful for our fathers, for our mothers who have fathered us, our grandparents, aunts and uncles who've fathered us, the fathering energy of life. We're grateful for freedom, for our brothers and sisters and ourselves. And we realize that freedom undiscovered, freedom unknown, is not freedom. It must be shouted from the rooftops. And then with freedom comes responsibility. Now that I know this, what do I do? And we're grateful for this time of acceptance, of one love, in all the many forms that it takes. One gender called spirit. It can be a he, she, or a they. One body of God that can express and present itself in so many different forms. And we're grateful for all who've come before, the ancestors, who stand in a line in a field of bell peppers and watch the latest of their company take up her strong intention to be of service to this world. As we gather in this room, as always, spirits and energies mingle with us, around us. We are never alone. There is one life. That life is spirit. That life is all the life there is. And it is your life, my life, now and eternally. For this knowing and its manifestation and form, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done. And so it is.
So Jesse said I was going to do a long and elegant treatment, and I've never done a long and elegant treatment in my life. I don't think I've ever done a long one. Maybe elegant. Not much for long. Of course, his definition of long and my definition of long may be completely different. So, we'll see. Thank you for bearing with us this morning. We definitely had a little bit of a scramble. And we have been scrambling online or in the search engines, trying to figure out if there are other faster ways of doing this. So we will continue to improve this live streaming. It's not going anywhere. It will continue to get better. You have my assurances on that. Your tech team is working hard on that. So bear with us as we learn. Bear with us as we learn. There's a whole lot packed into this weekend. I was listening to Jesse and I was like, so we had Juneteenth yesterday. It's Father's Day today, the summer solstice. Although if you live here, it's been summer for a while. Yeah, it feels like it's going to be 100. I'm going to go see a play in a park. Woohoo! That's going to be fun. But I will tell you, because I shared a little bit about my mother on Mother's Day, and I will share a little bit about my father on Father's Day, because my father and I actually had a really amazing conversation a couple of weeks ago. He called me randomly out of the blue, and without apologized for who he was as I was growing up. And I will tell you that it takes a very strong person to do that, to acknowledge that who you were in the past wasn't the best version of you, that you have grown and that you are doing better and you will continue to do better. And my father did that and blew me away, because I've grown and I'm not the same person I was back then either. And I hopefully have grown into a much more conscious version of myself. And that's exactly what it is both of us have grown into more conscious people, conscious of who we are, conscious of how we interact with each other. And it made a lot of the things that have happened in the past forgivable. Whereas maybe up to now they hadn't been. But because he acknowledged and I acknowledged that we've both grown, we were both able to forgive and move forward into a more mindful relationship with each other as adults. And that's what I think all of us want. All of us want to know that we're good, but we have the opportunity to be better. So you are loved right now, just as you are. But you also have the opportunity to grow into a more fully you. I think it's Dr. Seuss, nobody could be any more youer than you. That's the opportunity that we have. And it involves our consciousness, our subconscious, our mindfulness, our self-mindfulness, and our love. But it also includes divine love. So in that knowing, I know that there is one presence, one power, one love. And I have my being in that presence. And I recognize that each and every other being has their same being in that presence. That love flows through each and every one of us because that love made each and every one of us. And we can talk about the difference between mothering and fathering. But it all comes down to love. And I know that love. I feel that love. I allow that love to flow through me. And I know that love for you. I know that love flows through you, in you, as you. And as it flows through you out into the world, it makes the world a better place. I know this. And I know this with all of the gratitude in my being. And so I know the sting of Father's Day isn't there. That your relationship with that energy is becoming conscious and healing. That the love flows through and we relax into it, knowing who we are, that we are children of God, that we are beloved children, that we all came from the same source, and we all have access to the same source. It merely awaits us asking. And I know this with all of the gratitude in my being. I relax into this, releasing it, and walking forward into this day, this sacred day, as all days are sacred. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use
And
it.
I love it.
And I love
And
it.
so it is.
And so it is.